Formula 1 returns to the Circuit de Catalunya for pre-season testing ahead of the 2016 season, and as Formula 1 enters its third season with the V6 hybrids, the championship fight looks to be the closest yet. It's being tipped to be a four-way fight for the championship this season. Following on from two dismal seasons in Formula 1, Red Bull look to return to winning ways, as it is very evident from very early on in pre-season testing that Red Bull looks to have over a 5/10 gap to the rest of the field. Once again, Red Bull continue to use Renault power units coming into this season. We're hoping that the aging newly designed RB12 will have enough in the aerodynamics to secure race victories, such as they did from 2010 to 2013. Also, Red Bull now gain lucrative sponsors and backing from Aston Martin, which they're hoping will aid funding and development through the season, in aid of them keeping the 5/10 gap over the rest of the field. Red Bull name an unchanged driver lineup of Daniel Kvyat and Jean-Eric Vergne, of course because they signed Daniel Kvyat until the end of the 2018 season, ahead of the Japanese Grand Prix last season. And Red Bull also keep faith in Jean-Eric Vergne, after he proved at the final race last season, the Brazilian Grand Prix, what he's capable of, and that he can take the fight to the front. Williams look to have emerged as Red Bull's nearest title contenders, and we're hoping to build on the strong finish from the end of last season. Once again, Williams will be BMW powered for this season, and over the winter Williams have been busy improving their overall downforce and aerodynamics, so they can be less reliant on their BMW engine, supplying the power and the overall race results for the team, as many of their race wins last season came at power tracks such as Mexico and Monza. Now hoping that with the improved downforce package and downforce packages coming throughout the season, they can be more competitive on every single track this season. BMW have also announced that a customer team will be coming in for this season as well, in hopes of aiding development for BMW and overall car development. Williams also named an unchanged driver pairing of Sebastian Buemi and Josh Chero, as Sebastian Buemi took 2 wins last season at China and Monaco, and Josh Chero would take 4 race wins, and 3 of them coming in the last 4 races. Mercedes look set for a challenging start to the season, as over the winter they look to slip to the 3rd fastest team, and also they've had numerous mechanical issues with their power unit, and meant that they only managed 50 laps maximum on one engine before it let go. Also, the other shock news is that Nico Rosberg has decided to retire from Formula 1 after his dismal end to his championship hopes at the end of 2015. And it's left a huge space at the works team, and many were left wondering who would take Rosberg's seat this coming season. Mercedes keep on Valtteri Bottas for his 2nd season, after he narrowly missed out on the championship last season. However, the main headlines was that Mercedes had managed to capture the signing of Fernando Alonso. Alonso of course jumps ship from McLaren, and has even stated that this season is his best chance at taking his 3rd World Championship. Reigning Constructors Champions Scuderia Ferrari looks set for a miserable season, as over winter they've dropped down to the 4th fastest car and look to be far off the pace of challenging Mercedes and Williams at this stage. And so far they're yet to come up with a reason, an answer, as to why they are so far off the pace of Williams and Mercedes. But the main suspicion is that it's down to a lack of engine power and overall downforce on the rear of their car. However, Ferrari bosses Arriva Bene have stated that some inspired drives from their 2 drivers could see them elevate up the order and maybe take a surprise win in the early half of the season before the upgrades are brought. Ferrari also named an unchanged driver lineup of Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton. Vettel has now extended his contract with Ferrari until the end of 2018 and is looking to take his 6th World Championship this season, however admits it will be a struggle. And Lewis Hamilton's hoping he can put all the bad luck of last season behind him start fresh and challenge for the championship in this coming season. McLaren look to be much improved after the disappointment of last season, and they look to be firmly within the top 10. However, much like with Red Bull, they gain their lap time from the chassis and aerodynamics of the car, as once again for the second season, the Honda power unit looks to be the slowest on the grid, and on speed traps and such a high speed tracks such as Monza, Mexico, McLaren were once again expecting to struggle as they make up most of their time through the corners. However, with upgrades planned throughout the season, they're hoping to repeat a podium finish from last season and maybe, if the luck falls their way, maybe take a race victory this season. McLaren were struggling to find a second driver to replace Fernando Alonso, so in the end they approached paid driver Rio Haryanto to partner Stoffel Vandoorne for this coming season. McLaren have also warned Vandoorne to improve his race performances, otherwise he may face being replaced at the end of the season. Haas Automotive were the new team on the grid for this coming season. As stated previously, there is the Williams BMW B team, as this car underneath is essentially a second Williams. However, all the chassis work and aerodynamic packages have been designed by Haas. However, Williams has stated that they will test aerodynamic packages on the Haas throughout the season before implementing them onto their own car to see if the upgrades are successful. Following on for next season, Haas will then take BMW Williams young drivers. However, for this season, they've taken on two experienced drivers within Formula 1 in hopes of securing points on their debut and throughout this season. Haas signed Romain Grosjean, who of course was outed by Lotus after the 6th race of last season, and partnering the Frenchman will be Alex Rossi, who of course jumped ship from Manor to drive for the American team. After last season was their most successful ever in Formula 1, Toro Rosso were hoping for much more of the same in this season. However, with the midfield battle looking a lot more closer this season, their drivers are going to need to work especially hard to achieve these results, especially as the Renault power unit is still down on power compared to Ferrari, Mercedes and BMW. Toro Rosso name an unchanged driver lineup ahead of the season, keeping Carlos Sainz, who now starts his first full season with the team, and Max Verstappen, who now starts his second full season. Renault returned to Formula 1 after buying out the dwindling Lotus team at the close of the 2015 season, after paying their debt they were put into by Romain Grosjean midway through the 2015 season. Renault have also stated that the chassis in this car is the exact same chassis that Lotus used for the 2015 season. However, a few adjustments have been made to fit in the Renault power unit. Renault have also stated they're using this season purely as a development season and are more focused on next year's Challenger than the current 2016 car. What's more surprising is that Renault have announced two new drivers for this season, as fan favourite Carmen Jorda didn't make the cut. Renault named their driver lineup of Nico Hülkenberg and Daniel Ricciardo. Hülkenberg of course stating he wants a works team drive, and Daniel Ricciardo who was in talks with Lotus at the Japanese Grand Prix following a drive for next season. And since Renault took over Lotus at the close of the 2015 season, they didn't have much time for driver shopping. Force India's slow decline ever since the end of the 2014 season looks set to continue, as funds are slowly starting to run dry. And lack of funding means lack of development, which also means a lack of downforce on the Force India, and has been forced to take the straight line speed approach, much like many of the other midfield teams. We're hoping that the Mercedes power unit would 1. Not break down, and 2. Would give them enough straight line speed to take some low end points, thanks to the top 12 point system. Sergio Perez stays on at Force India for another season, and Esteban Ocon gets promoted from test driver to now full-time driver for this season. And they're hoping that some inspired drives from both Perez and Ocon can see the team score some top 10 finishes. Mercedes buy out the struggling Meniz that one Manor to form the official Mercedes B team, MANA Mercedes. And Mercedes have also supplied MANA with 3 Mercedes power units for this season, in return that they take on Mercedes' next young prospect. Much like Force India, MANA have been forced to take the low drag straight line speed setup for this season, and also with less and less sponsors on the car, they're hoping that the Mercedes power unit and straight line speed advantage that they have will be enough to secure some points finishes, as the MANA looks to be the fastest car in a straight line through the speed traps, even faster than the BMW Williams. MANA keep on Will Stevens for his second season, as well as signing Mercedes young driver Pascal Wehrlein as agreed in the deal for MANA to receive 3 Mercedes engines. Sauber looks set for a dismal season, as they look to have the slowest car on the grid. Despite finishing 8th in the constructors' standings previous season, there just wasn't the funding there to develop the car, so once again Sauber have been forced to take the low drag approach for their car design for this season. However, unlike MANA and Force India, Sauber don't have a straight line speed advantage due to the weakness from the Ferrari power unit. Sauber will also name an unchanged driver lineup of Adrian Sittel and Marcus Ericsson. However, both drivers and the team admit that scoring points will be a real struggle for this season. Once again, ahead of the season, there is yet more regulation changes. As for this season, races will now be twice as long, and the idea behind this is that this will give teams opportunities to try alternate strategies and try and make a wonder strategy work, instead of it being a one-stop guaranteeing a race victory, as it was for the end of last season in the last few races. Also, there's a few changes to the calendar for this season. In this calendar, it will now be a 20 race season, with Germany returning at the Hockenheim Ring and Azerbaijan debuting its first race at round 8 of the season. So that's the story of pre-season testing. Are Red Bull going to dominate, or can Williams, Mercedes or Ferrari do anything to stop them? Join us on Tuesdays and Fridays for Season 3 of UniONE, the 2016 season.